Good morning. It is Monday. Where are we? January who?
Yeah, exactly. 7th, February 7th.
I know. It's horrifying. So it's Monday, February 7th, which makes it, Robert, Sunday, May 8th, which is Mother's Day.
No way.
This week on Friday, we're going to be talking about Red Day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I always talk about this. We have these Keller Williams holidays that are in the calendar that are benchmarks, and we get through Pi Day. I'm like, it's going to be New Year's before we know it, and then it gets to New Year's. I'm like, it's going to be Red Day before we know it, and yes, it is 90 days from Mother's Day.
Look, I tell you what, we're close enough. It's my birthday.
Stand by, because I don't want to be wrong. My
birthday's in July.
You're July 27th, correct?
24, close.
24. I should have that memorized. I have Zoe's engraved, only for the fact that we know Zoe didn't jump in with some of the cool kids that are doing the 75 hard, but she was doing a what do we call it? I think we called it a sugar-free 62 when she started. I think she started New Year's Day or whatever. So anyway, I think it is March 13th is a Sunday. That is her birthday. So Monday, March 14th, we will be celebrating with baked goods.
I see.
So yes, you should probably come to the Portsmouth studios for that.
You bring up the 75 hard. I wonder how many people are actually still doing it. Quick check-in. All those watching and all those watching later today, in the comments, you hanging in there or did you give up?
I think some people are doing really well. I know without fail that Westcott is absolutely at Planet Fatness at least it feels like 3 times a day. And Doyle's in the mix, he's in the mix, and I know there's got to be a handful of other people in there as well. One other thing, while we're talking to the Peanut Gallery, whether you're joining us on YouTube or on Facebook, question for you as we talk about, obviously, the contest going on this month. It's Timming the Listing Factory. We're doing signed listing agreements between February 1st and February 28th. Documented in your DocuSign, and obviously you can see the rules. We have the Whitney rules, which people appreciate that we've gone to the letter on this. We're talking about residential real estate for sale. We're not talking about leases. We're not talking about rentals. And above and beyond that, it is anything signed in the month of February. So because I know we probably have at least somebody that has access in each state, and I'll throw Vermont in there too if we have somebody who could help us with that. How many listings came on the market today, new listings today in each state? If people could jump into their respective MLSs and report in. We probably have a triple threader on there somewhere that can give us New Hampshire, Maine, and Mass, and then we'll get maybe Vermont numbers too. The reason I'm doing this is we tell ourselves a story, Robert, that there's just nothing, there's no properties out there right now. I'm working with all these buyers, and I'll always ask you guys, are you working with buyers or waiting with buyers? Are you at a bus stop with your buyer where a bus is never going to show up because you are in charge of getting the bus? So that being said, we want to make sure that we are always in listing conversations. I know a fearless handful of people that are part of the MREA group, our in-house incubation team, our farm team here at KWCLM had some appointments this weekend, which is exciting. And above and beyond that, they're going to come from just your conversations. They're going to come from the, what are we calling them? The unsolicited CMAs, right? Just calling Robert and Michelle Vincent and saying, hey, I was spending some time in Nottingham. I was looking in your neighborhood, actually spent some time in your street. Would you appreciate finding out where you stand right now in the current market? An equity update. So all those conversations are important. Today, on the calendar today, we've got, if you are a proven capper, you have capped historically and you've capped yet again. You're a repeat offender, proven capper. That mastermind is today, of course, at 11 o'clock. We've got broker time at 1 o'clock. That is on kellertv.com. And then, of course, we have open door lab hours with Robert at kwtechtv.com. And that is today at 2 o'clock. Family reunion still on the way. Prices went up Friday night. So now if you have not dipped your toe in yet, the in-person experience is $11.99 and the digital experience is $199. You have content access 60 days after it wraps, which will be Feb 22, March, April. Through April 22nd, I believe you have 60 days. So what do we got? 2379 active listings in Maine. So active listings in Maine. I appreciate that intel. I was wondering how many new listings came on today. How many new listings came on today? Because we tend to sell ourselves a story. Well, there's no listings out there. But then when you look and you find out, well, New Hampshire brought on, we'll just make some numbers up. New Hampshire brought on 400 new listings today. went live today. That means over the weekend, somebody got a listing. It just wasn't you, And am I picking on you? Sure. Do I want to make you feel bad? Absolutely. Because we need to get to work. So we need the inventory because right now the conversations across the board. And there was, I think when Inman has the article, it doesn't make it true. Let's start there. Although, it's a national conversation. And Inman had a headline over the weekend that basically just said, there are no houses left to sell.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm paraphrasing. And two things. A, that's false, right? Because if you ever speak in ultimatums, I think most coaches would say to you, is that true? Is that 100% true? Which we know it's not. We also know, I would argue probably 90% of your buyers right now, whomever you have signed, 90% of them are going to buy something already in existence. It's not wildly rare, but it's relatively rare that that home buyers are going to build from the ground up. Whether it's manufactured or whatever. What's that?
I did. I built my house in Florida ground up.
You did?
Yeah.
How many houses have you purchased, Robert, though? Let's do the math.
2.
2. And Nottingham was already built.
9. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This thing's old.
Now, this thing's old.
Yeah.
We have the oldest the oldest housing stock in New England in the country. Somebody just said 2 today.
Yeah, it's Carol.
Carol Goodwin reports in that New Hampshire had 2 new listings today. 2. So now you can all be like, see, we're not the only ones that aren't working. Well, no, but you're part of the collective that's not working. So let's start there. So we need to be the industry leaders. We need to be the market leaders. We need to make sure that we're having conversations that get us. Somebody said 2 today, 5 in New Hampshire.
Carol, 5 in New Hampshire.
5 in New Hampshire. Maybe 2 was Maine. Anyway, less than 10 new listings coming into the marketplace. So we have a ton of work to do. You've got buyers. You certainly had sellers at some point. Because Robert and I hear this all the time. They told me to call them after the holidays. This just in. They didn't mean Valentine's Day. They didn't mean Valentine's Day. It is spring now. Spring has sprung. Even though Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow and he's gone to Florida for 6 more weeks, it is still time to talk to your people and start to get them prepped. Because the important thing, Robert, is getting them to understand, well, when do you want to move, though? Because when they're talking about when they want to sell, they're talking about closing table, keys, and checks. And then we got to reverse engineer the start of the process, which we know is 90 days. So if they want it to be moved by Mother's Day, today is 90 days out. So important conversations to have with all your people. So please, if you're having trouble deciding how you're going to get on the phone and start conversations today, whether it's care calls, fuel insecurity, food insecurity, just checking in with people.
Just generally insecurity? Because
general insecurities. Yes, call Robert and see if he's generally insecure. Yes.
I can just tell you right now. I'll save you the phone call. Yes,
I'm generally. But you can call in and say, Robert, with that flowing hair, that bright smile, and that remarkable personality, how could you be insecure? And you make his day. Because what we do know, the math that we do have that Gary's definitely not wrong on, 0.0 humans are going to be insulted when you call to check on them, when you call to say hello, when you call to make them feel cared for. And the limiting belief is, well, I can't check in with Robert. Haven't talked to him in 7 years. Haven't talked to him in over a year. It doesn't take long for us to build in that circumstance that I couldn't possibly call him. It's been too long, and define too long. And I always say to you guys, go make the 7-year phone call on your phone, because once you do and get in the habit of making consistent contact with your people, 36 Connect, then you never have to deal with that again. The Band-Aid is ripped.
That's 4 phone calls.
4 phone calls. Robert, remember, last week we talked about this. The 36 Connect is 4 phone conversations all year long. The other 8 touches per quarter are not phone conversations. Although, could you augment it and look at it and be like, well, this is supposed to be a text, but I'm Tim Lindsay, I'm a high I, I'm a Talkosaurus Rex, and I also know the power of my voice and my word choice is going to be stronger if I talk to them as opposed to text them, right? And again, if you want to follow the rules, I'm not telling you how to do things. I'm telling you to do something. And initially having enough conversations today, because we got people that jumped into Bold. We're going into step 3 of Bold this week. And the challenge with Bold is 20 conversations a day during the business week, right? So 100 conversations or 100 contacts per week with Bold. And if you're thinking about your history, what do you normally do in a week? If you're not in Ignite where they're saying 10 a day, if you're not in Bold where they're saying 20 a day, what is your average amount of conversations per week? And I can assure you what you've been doing probably doesn't match what you need to be doing to hit the goals that you set back in the fall with Zoe or myself or Robert. You're like,
which are in your command, if you recall.
Yeah, I mean, if you built that out, that's all baked in there for you, and based on the math. The one thing we don't know is if you're getting started in this industry, we don't know your conversion rates yet.
Yes.
But we do know nationally and historically, it's 19 no's to a yes, which sounds horrible. I have to have 20 conversations to get one person to say they're going to sit at a kitchen table or a conference table with me. Historically, yes.
So on that note, I mentioned this, but this was probably 8-10 months ago. We talked about the no and the yes. I read a great book about motivation, and it talked about, I wish I could remember the name. I'm bad at that. And it talked about this guy who was so tired of hearing the no's that he turned it around and decided to seek the no's, to look and try to get as many no's as possible.
Rejection proof.
Knowing that eventually, if he got the 19 no's, that he's going to get a yes. So he was getting through the no's to get to the yes. It made it a game with him, and it changed his perspective. Instead of getting depressed because he got a no, trying to get to the yes, he's like, okay, there's another no.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's one more down.
Yeah, I think you're talking about rejection proof, Robert.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the one. So the cover, if you look it up, the author has a great Irish name. I'm joking, and I feel like I always butcher his name. I believe his name, the gentleman's name, is Jia Zhang. Clearly of Asian descent. Jia Zhang. The cover of the book is an umbrella, Robert, with all the rejections bouncing off of it. It's called Rejection Proof.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Jia Zhang is the author. It's called Rejection Proof. Phenomenal. I love that you brought it up, Robert, because it is a great read just to remind you that you are pursuing the no's. You should celebrate the no's because you're on your journey to your yes. And the three stories that pop out from that book, Robert, if you remember the first one, I think one of the first conversations he had, as Robert said, he was battling rejection so much he started to go and walk into conversations where he was expecting the no to bulletproof himself. And he walked into, and I forget where he was sort of all over the country, I believe, but he walks into a Krispy Kreme. And he basically, he says, can I, yeah, right, I know, there, I brought up food, there it is. Good night, everybody, try the veal. Again, food. So he walks into a Krispy Kreme, and he says to the kid, can I see the manager? This younger girl comes out, because it's Krispy Kreme, she's like 20-something, and she's like, can I help you? And he's like, mind you, Jia Zhang, he's like, probably my height, if he's lucky, right? Little Asian dude, and he's just like, yeah, could you take your classic Krispy Kreme donut, arrange them like the Olympic rings, ironic, the Olympics are on, and then color code those rings appropriately so it looks like the Olympic rings. Thinking for sure this girl's like, get out of here, stupid. And she sort of looks at him and she's like, head tilt, little Scooby-Doo, like, And she's like, when do you need that by? And he's like, I'll be back at 4. And she's like, okay. He leaves, comes back at 3:59. She, it's the new style donut box where you open it up. And they're in there assorted in the Olympic rings assortment, color coded appropriately to match the Olympic ring logo. He pays. He thanks her so much, and he leaves. Now, the one of the other stories that I loved was he's in the Texas area, and it's he's in like the Arlington area. Two things happen on Sundays in Texas, right? Jesus and football, right, Robert? So he pulls up to this dude's house, and he sees a truck in the driveway. He's like, perfect. This is exactly what I want. He's dressed in a full soccer kit, iPhone in hand, soccer ball under one arm. Again, Jia Zhang, probably 5'8" if he's lucky. Knocks on the door. This huge Texas dude opens the door. He's like, yeah. And he's like, would you mind if I went in your backyard and kicked the soccer ball around? Would you record me? And the guy's probably thinking to himself, I'm being punked. And then above and beyond that, he's just like, yeah. Like, so they're cutting through the house. Pregame for Dallas is on. They go into the backyard. He runs around the guy's yard, dribbling the soccer ball, and the guy records him. Because the guy's probably thinking, I have no idea what's happening right now, but I have a story to tell for the rest of my life. Collects his phone, thanks the gentleman, gets in his car, leaves. Third grade story. And this is the one that's important because, Robert, you make such a great point about rejection. we have to remember that when we get a no, 95% of the time, the no is not about us. It's about a circumstance. And you guys always hear me say, ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. And then people say to me, well, what's a great question to me? The next one. We have to keep peeling the onion and staying in curiosity. So now it's around the holidays. I forget what part of the country he's in because I believe he went all over the country for this experiment. And he's got poinsettias. And it's around the holidays, and he's just going to hand them out to random people. He knocks on this woman's door, and he says, hi, an anonymous donor wanted everybody to have holiday poinsettias. I'm delivering this to you. Happy holidays. And the woman's like, oh, no, no, thank you. I'm all set. I don't want it. And he's like, oh, no, by all means, it's an anonymous donor. It's not from me. I just was here to deliver it for you. She goes, I appreciate that. I can't accept it. And he starts to walk away, and she stops him, and she goes, well, don't you want to know why I don't want it? And he turns around, and he's like, God, she's making my point. And he's like, yes. And she goes, I'm allergic. Right? But he was walking away, feeling dejected, getting back into his feels, proving his book right, I guess. And then, but he didn't ask the next question.
Right.
He didn't ask her, well, why won't you accept this? He didn't want to bother her, right? And she had rejected it twice, but she didn't tell him why, and he didn't ask why. 95% of the time, when we get a no, it's not about us. We got to remember that. I say to you guys all the time, the most expensive thing in our industry and in most sales industries is our ego. You've got to park that at the door. You've got to stay curious. You've got to make it all about them, ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. And I think if we're doing that at a high level, we will have the most listings. Because there's not a person that can hear Robert's voice and my voice right now that is in need of another buyer. Right? Now, many of you may just be getting started. You don't have a signed buyer or a signed listing yet. So you're thinking, well, no, I do need a buyer. Nope, you need a listing. You need a listing. And if there's anybody at our company or anywhere in real estate that wants to fight me on that, I'll meet you behind the dumpster at lunch. It's a misnomer that you need a buyer. You need a listing. Just the metrics that have been shared on our Facebook feed today, we do not have enough listings. We'll never have enough listings. I ask you guys this in trainings all the time. Raise your hand if you have too much money in the bank. I have yet to see a paw go up. Yeah, maybe Michelle should answer for you, Robert. Raise your hand if there's too much money in the bank. Raise your hand if you have too many listings. And I've never seen anybody say, yep. And I don't mean that in a greedy way. Because you could argue, well, what's enough when it comes to money? I don't know. Because at some point we become philanthropic. When you've had that Powerball conversation in your head, there's the church you want to build. There's the cancer center you want to donate to. There's puppies.com you want to donate to. There's a niece or a nephew that you want to put through college with no financial pressure. So ask yourself what's enough. I don't think there's a limit to how much money we can make. And the misnomer and what people say all the time, is that money is the root of all evil. That is a misquote. The love of money is the root of all evil. And what Gary says here, what we've always said at Keller Williams, is money is good for the good that it can do. So if you had too much money and you're like, well, okay, we get a 7-car garage, we have 9 cars, shit, right? So like now what am I going to do? You're probably going to start to give it away. You're going to become philanthropic. We all would. When we have a Powerball conversation, Robert and I aren't sitting out having drinks saying, man, next Thursday, if you win that $600 million after taxes, what are you going to do? I mean, Robert's already got the haircut going, so maybe pinky to corner of mouth, and he's like, sharks and lasers. Maybe he says that. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I think Robert's like, yep. Because we've had this conversation, obviously, Robert. You've been very forthright. You're like, I wouldn't call Nathan and say I'm not coming in. I would finish any projects that were unfinished, and then I would say after that, I'm not coming in.
After that.
I think Robert and Michelle would do a lot of golfing and a lot of traveling. I think everyone has things on their to-do list and their adventure list that they would want to accomplish. And then when all that's done and you still have a ton of money, then you probably start to lean into your passions and what fills your heart and become philanthropic. All the while. We do it now. We have agents right now that they're having their first closing. They've already signed up on their green sheet. They've already signed up through opportunities to give to KW Cares. I would argue most people at this company are philanthropic to begin with. And the handcuffs that we have is the 2 reasons we joined the industry, Robert. I came to real estate because I want to control my time and control my money. Let's behave that way. Let's do that. Massachusetts just checked in. MLS PIN in Mass, 28 new listings came on today. And in the last couple of years, Robert, I feel like Massachusetts has historically added the most listings. over time. They typically have more listings than we do, and Maine does. And they're more, and they might have more people selling, but we've certainly had more people coming here during COVID. Because what a lot of companies said was you can work from anywhere. As long as you have a decent connection and a laptop, you can go live anywhere, right? Twitter told their whole company they could move wherever they want. So we have more people desirous of moving here. So we could argue, well, that's why we don't have enough Lay's potato chips. Well, let's go make more. Let's talk to our people and let's remember.
Potato chips.
What's
we'll
that? I couldn't agree more. We are kindred spirits.
Utz
yes,
is awesome.
I think. What is your favorite Utz potato chip?
I like the ripples because then I can use my onion dip.
Use your onion dip. I feel like it sounds like you have a holster on your belt.
Abuse.
What are the ones I'm thinking of? We are looking up chips right now. You're welcome. Yeah. Hold on. Stand by.
Anything Utz. The kettle ones. Oh.
Thank you. That's what I was looking. That's what I was talking about. Hang on. Yeah.
So good.
Why can I not find them now? It's not the red hot ones.
No,
but yes.
I don't like barbecue, or I'm not a big fan of that.
No, it's the kettle ones. You're speaking my language on the kettle ones, but I can't find the picture of them. But yes,
Carol's all about the plain.
Yeah, Utz are the unsung heroes of the potato chips. So
They're
yes,
just the best.
Make more Utz. Yes. Anyway, if you are looking for our assistance this week, by all means, reach out. Your marketing design help is with our good friend Alana Babineau. It is BABS, timewithbabs.com to book her face. If you want to look at her suite of services, it's kwclmmarketing.com. If you need Robert, he's available at 2 o'clock, open door lab hours at kwtechtv.com today. And also you can book him at timewithrobert.com. If you need my face, it is meetwithcoach.com. And above and beyond that, questions, comments, and concerns, or just some help with the script, it is 834-2856, 603-834-2856. Our brokers, who will join you at 1 o'clock, that's at kellertv.com today. All of this is in the news, brought to you by Zoe Kirkpatrick, by the way. And you can call Jason Westcott. If you need Jen or Jason, bug Jason, 603-234-2589. That's all the information that we have for you right now. Great book, by the way. We'll drop it in the liner notes. It's Jia Zhang, Rejection Proof. Thank you, Robert. It's a pretty quick read, a phenomenal book that reminds us when we do get the no, which we're looking for them. It's 19 no's to a yes. Celebrate the no's. You're on your journey to your yes, to your kitchen table, to your signed agreements. And remember that 95% of the time, the no is not about us. And it may be because we might not have asked enough questions, right? But 95% of the time, if we ask the next question, it's about some other circumstance they have stacked in their head that we need to help them clear. So it is still ultimately on us, but it's not about us. We have to park our ego. It's all about the client. It's all about the consumer conversation, making them feel heard and cared for by asking great questions. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you in and around the Market Center. And Robert, I'm leaving in just about a week. Isn't that crazy? Family reunion.
Oh my God, it's going to be quieter. I mean, that's really all.
Yes, you are driving as of next Wednesday morning. I'm gone for like over a week. I think I'm back on Friday the 25th or something like that.
Oh man, while the cat is away.
So now mind you, while you and Zoe are driving and Westcott and Babs are driving, I will check in. There will be check-ins from me and Joffrey and Nathan, but for the quick start, not necessarily. No. Probably won't. I'm not going to endeavor to try to find a good hotspot area while I'm at the convention center, because at 8:30 we'll be underway at the convention center for the most part. That being said, I can tell you this much: we will check in from the road. It's going to be intriguing. They might write a book about this one for sure, and we leave next Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
So good stuff. All right, we'll see you.